What is up, IDJNOW fam? Look, we've evolved. We have a countdown clock.
Woo!
Episode 8. We figured it out.
Who wants to do our theme music?
How to not look awkward for the first minute of a live stream by throwing up a countdown clock with really obscure music. I appreciate it. I love it.
Yes.
We're back. It's either a Tuesday or a Thursday. I have no idea what day it is anymore. And as always, I am Kevin from IDJNOW, and I'm joined by Justin.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to IDJNOW LiveCast episode 8.
Episode 8. We're going worldwide.
8. I used to always make fun of those people on American Idol that did that, like when they gave their number, and now I'm doing it every week. I don't know why.
What number do I call to vote for you? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do.
08.
08? 08, cool. So I'm really excited about this one because this is like a night off for both of us. We don't have to do anything. Tonight's guest is, total powerhouse. I won't even get into the whole bio background for a sec. We'll just shoot the you know what for a minute. So first off, couple things. Memorial Day weekend coming up. I know we're living through some interesting things, but some things are opening back up. It's good to see some people getting back to work and parts of the country returning to normal.
Ohio,
as normal things can be right now. Ohio's got some big news that you just gave me.
Yes, 300 people event starting June 1st. Yes, it's so we're good news all around.
Coming back, and I know from the customers I'm speaking to that are calling the stores and I'm talking to on the web, people are excited to get back into action. People are excited about the gear. I've gotten a lot of great compliments on the previous 7 episodes, except for I think the one with the guy in the jungle. People are like, "Why is he in a jungle?" But they love the content of the episode.
Yeah, they do, and everyone loves you. That's what I hear a lot.
Who cares about me? I'm just show. I got dressed today. I put on a button-down shirt instead of a hoodie. I fixed my hair. Although this morning I was ready to become the 5th member of Flock of Seagulls this morning. I'm not gonna lie, but I fixed my hair.
That said, have you gotten all the animals into the ark?
I've not. I've not yet done that. I'm working on that next.
Okay, good.
I still got to finish building it.
Just making sure.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Very, very well.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Very, very well. And I got to tell
everybody out there, how are you doing?
How's our audience doing? Is the LiveCast audience doing well? And I hope we reached a new crowd this evening. We want to bring some awareness to this crazy difference between how many male DJs there are out there and how many female DJs are out there. And also, we want to debunk this every female DJ is Paris Hilton stereotype, because they're not. And regardless, DJs are DJs. And if you can throw down, you can throw down. And we need to make sure that I have a daughter, Kevin has daughters, that we live in a world where females grow up knowing that they can be a DJ. It's something for them to do, especially as we move into this digital age where scratching and something like what I have behind me, these are the instruments of the future. So females, you're welcome. You are welcome to join with this and join with us. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And for me, I've never been a fan of the term female DJ because they're DJs, just like all of us.
That's why I don't like.
There's really no division. And Shortee tonight, man, she can do laps around half the guys I know, and it's not a guy girl thing. I know the two of us hosting a scratch DJ is probably the most comical thing ever. But half my great friends are turntablists anyway, so it makes sense. Before we get started, I do want to, as I do every week, send special thanks and appreciation, gratitude to all of our healthcare workers, frontline workers, first responders, EMT, essential workers, everybody out there. You guys are doing it all for us, and we really appreciate it. And as we start to get things back to our regular routines, we're not going to forget about you. I'm always going to show my respect and appreciate you guys who are out there day in and day out doing your thing for us. Also, everybody in the comments, you guys who keep showing up week in, week out on Justin's Facebook, on the IDJNOW Facebook page, you guys call in the store. We're excited to let you back in as soon as we are allowed. We're trying to follow all the guidelines and do it right and make sure everyone is safe and comfortable at the same time. And we are worldwide. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitch, We're on MySpace. We're on AOL.
By the way, I got us
YouTube.
on. We went back in time. I got us on MS-DOS, Kevin.
Oh,
we are
MS-DOS.
streaming on MS-DOS
Perfect.
tonight. Yes.
Actually, I think we were playing Oregon Trail after this. I just want to make sure. I'm not sure what we're doing, but
I don't know what that
I'm
is.
really. You don't know what that is? You're not old enough. Got
That's
a great episode tonight. We have probably, God, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, Shortee's been around for at least 25 years, if not more, and it's amazing because she's only like 27 years old, 28.
I know, she doesn't look a day over 25.
It's crazy. But I mean, she is, if I had to put it, she's a skilled musician, and her instrument is a turntable. It's really the easiest thing that I could say to describe her without going into like the 10-page bio, because she's got a bio, man. If you haven't seen Shortee, if you don't know who she is, you'll know who she is as soon as we're done with this LiveCast.
You would never think it. As soon as we bring her on, you'll know why, but you would never think it. She is humble, she's approachable, and this is why we really were very lucky and fortunate to have her with us tonight. And that's why she was one of the first people that I thought of when we wanted to kind of change it up a little bit with the format and do, a non-brand.
And it's funny, we were talking, before the live stream, and we mentioned NAMM shows, and I could tell you she's repped it hard for a lot of companies, and what she's doing now, from the education aspect, still from the product demo angle, and the videos that she shoots, she is super talented. And obviously, when you hear about her story and what she does now, she's not afraid to share this with anybody. She's very skilled at what she does.
I think we bring her on.
I think it's time.
I think it's time,
Nobody
right?
wants to see us anymore.
And I definitely not. That's not what they're here for. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Shannon, Miss DJ Shortee herself. What's going on?
There you are.
Hey, episode 8 in the house.
You did it. See? She knows. She's cool. She's hip. Thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. We really, really appreciate it. We really do.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm stoked. This is awesome. I love your background.
Awesome. And you're coming to, where are you coming to us from? I forgot to ask you.
I have it written down here. Valley View, right?
Valley Village. I live in Los Angeles. So like right next to North Hollywood, basically.
Yeah, I knew she's in.
So, see, we're still going global. We got East Coast and West Coast in the house, as always.
I'm from the East Coast, though. So I got the best of both. I'm from DC,
Nice.
Northern Virginia area.
Nice.
Holla.
That's not too far from us. We're in New York here. It's 4 hours away. So
all right. So
East
obviously, as you've seen, the whole landscape has changed. Live streaming is a big thing, but there's something extra special about what you do as far as classes and lessons, along with being a world-renowned turntablist. And man, you got to bring up the page, Justin, because there's just too many accolades that I can't remember off the top of the head. I know Queen of the Scratch World by DJ Times, #1 female EDM DJ by Miami New Times, world premiere female DJ by the Grammy Foundation, and then called the Consummate Professional. I mean, there's just so much here. How do you do it?
I've been around a while. It pays to be older, I guess. No, I've been in the game. I started I'm 44, so I'm not 27. Although, thank you for telling me I look like I'm 27. I love you forever. Sending you virtual hugs right now for that. No, so I started in 1995, so I've been in the game for a while, and that's given me the privilege to be able to do a lot of things. And I also have had my feet in a lot of different genres of music and in a lot of different areas of DJing, because I've never been one to just pick one lane and stick with that, which is great for your branding. I'm more across the board, which sucks for your branding, kind of. It's just like a longer rise, I guess, because you're doing a lot of different things. But I attribute it just to time and just work. I work my ass off.
Right, and it's funny you say that, because that is your brand. It's a different form of branding, but that's your brand, and that's how people know you. I know you're an educator. I know that I'm just going to say badass performer. I know it says fierce performer, but I'm just going to use some real words here. And I know you've got a lot of things happening other than just lessons. I know Heavy Artillery Recordings and Urban Assault with DJ Faust. I mean, you're with the best. I'm sure I don't know where Justin went, but I know if we ask your story, you could probably drop a million names of how you got involved in DJing. And I guess let's start at the beginning. How did you first come into the DJ world, and who kind of guided you? And then let's take it from there. Unless Justin wants to go a different direction. I don't know what we're doing here.
No, I mean, we want the origin story, right? We want to hear it. So You said you started in 95. Like what made, first of all, how tall are you?
I'm 5'1".
All right, so that makes sense. So
that question came out of nowhere.
Well, that's me. So I wonder, you're DJ Shortee, so right?
Yes.
So that makes sense. All right. So let's hear about like the origin. Let's hear about who you worked with. Let's hear about kind of how you gained your skills and what got you to where you are today.
Well, I started out as a drummer. So I started playing drums when I was 7 years old, and I played a lot of different instruments, but percussion was my main instrument. I also played piano and tried the violin. I sucked at that, and I played trumpet. But percussion was my main instrument, so drums and mallet instruments, and I was a total band geek all up through high school. Played in marching band, snare drum.
High five.
Yes, high five to the band geeks.
Trombone.
Yes. So
I'm not going to put myself out there right now.
I love marching band, and in our school, marching band was not cool. So I was just like in marching band, symphonic band, all the bands, jazz band, and percussion ensemble and everything. So I was really into music, and I was really into electronic dance music, and also jam bands like Fish and the Grateful Dead, and then also hip hop. And so when I was in college, I was aware of the DJ. Like I went to raves and clubs and stuff like that. But I didn't respect the DJ as a musician, because I came up as a traditional musician. I could read music. I played a real instrument, according to myself. A turntable was just wiki. That's so easy. Anyone can do that. I can read music. I play a real instrument. And but I enjoyed going out to clubs, and I had tried mixing, and it seemed fairly easy to me when I first tried. I beat matched my first 2 songs, so I didn't feel challenged by it until I met this guy. Okay, so basically I had a friend. We had a mutual friend, and he was like, "Yo, my friend is visiting me. He's scratching in my living room. You got to come check it out." So I was like, wiki, whatever. And he's like, "No, come check it out." So I went over to his place, and I walked in, and there was this guy, and he had dreads. They were about to hear, and he was scratching, and he was doing like, I'd never seen anyone scratch like this before. He was doing all these crazy rhythms and patterns, these syncopated rhythms, these Latin rhythms I couldn't even play on my drums. And I was instantly like, what is that? That's amazing. I've never seen anybody scratch like that. And then that night, I was playing in my punk rock band. I was in a punk rock band in college. Our name was Food. Our slogan was Yum. And so I was in this punk rock band, and we were playing a house party. And that guy that was scratching that afternoon came out to the party, and he was standing right behind me. And I kind of felt him watching me when I was playing. And after our show was over, he came up to me. He's like, "Yo, you're really good on the drums." And I was like, "You're an amazing scratch DJ. How did you learn that?" And he's like, "Well, it's a percussion instrument. It's very similar rhythms. I can teach you." And it was a great pickup line, because he is my husband. We met in 1995. He moved in a month after we met with his turntables, my drums, his turntables. He taught me the basics of mixing, scratching, and beat juggling. And and around that time, a lot of the stuff wasn't created yet, like in terms of scratching. So we didn't have the flare or the crab, or definitely didn't have like the boomerang or the Audubon or anything like that. So we learned, he got me to a certain point, and then we learned the rest together. So, and that was in Southwestern Virginia, was when I was in college at Radford University, where I met him. And then we moved to Atlanta, and we formed a DJ crew called Third World Citizens. And this was 2 years into my DJ career. So this is around 1997-ish. And our crew consisted of DJ Craze. So if y'all don't know him, better act like you know. He's like 6-time DMC champion, 3 times solo, 3 times team. He's an amazing DJ. DJ Clever, also DMC champion. DJ Shotgun, DJ T-Rock, King James, and myself, and DJ Faust. So I didn't mention that. Oh, my husband is DJ Faust. I probably should have said that. He's in the chat right now. He's Heavy Artillery Recordings. So give him some love. But yeah, so we were all in a crew together, and I was not only the only female, but I was also the youngest DJ in terms of experience. Not in terms of age, because Craze was a baby back then. I taught him how to do his laundry and go grocery shopping. But yeah, so I was the youngest experience-wise, the least experienced DJ in the crew, and they wouldn't let me be the token girl. I didn't want to be the token girl, and so I got a lot of tough love around that time, and I attribute that time to my biggest growth as a DJ, because it forced me to go from 0 to 100 and really hone in on my skills to be able to stand up on a stage with all those guys and do routines and not just be like, oh, she's cute, she's scratching, look at that, oh, that's cute. No, I wanted it to be like, wow, she's dope. And so that is what I work towards, and they helped me. And when Craze was working on his DMC routines, I was right there and I was learning along with what he was working on or whatever. He would teach me stuff. Faust taught me tons. Shaka, they all taught me different little skills. And I'm just so grateful for that time, because that was, still very early in my DJ career and very impressionable. And then after that, so that was around, so let's fast forward to like 2001 when Faust and I got married, and we had a DJ wedding. So he
Who DJ'd it? Who DJ'd it?
Z-Trip DJ'd our wedding.
Just some guy.
Just some guy. Oh my God.
He's a good friend of ours. We used to play a lot of shows together called Future Primitive Sound Sessions. We were in a collective also. So that's another, we were in a DJ crew, Third World Citizens, but then also a collective called Future Primitive Sound that had Craze, Qbert, Shortcut, Cut Chemist, Newmark. Oh gosh, there's so many people in that group.
So you kind of know, you
ever heard those names?
And you know a few names.
I know a couple people, but Z-Trip scratched me down the aisle. Like he was like with our groomsmen, so he had his turntables, and he scratched me down the aisle. And then on the way out, he dropped the traditional wedding song with the Timbaland beat under it. So we're all like grooving on the way out. He's scratching out, and then during the reception, he DJ'd, of course. And then we had a friend of ours, original Rocksteady crew member, Doze Green. He's a b-boy, but he's also a painter. And we used to do shows with him where he'd paint murals at Future Primitive Sound. So we tried to recreate that experience at our wedding. So Z-Trip was DJing, Doze was painting, and then we went up for a first scratch before we had our first dance. So that was our wedding. And then after that, sorry. I'll just ramble on. So cut me off when you need to.
I think everyone's enjoying it. So
that's
a lot of people.
That's an awesome story. I just want to go back to what you said is that you guys were learning these scratches before a lot of them were made, and I think it's important to know that was a very interesting time in turntablism. And there, you dropped a lot of names there that really brought a lot of innovation and a lot of creativity. And I know that you've kind of made your own scratches as well. So to see the creativity and some of my best friends are turntablists too, and to watch the evolution of it and to see how tight you guys are. And it's not, I learned to scratch, I'm not showing anyone. It's, oh my God, how'd you do that? And that's what I've always loved about that community. And then the 7 hours of practicing that I would hear would be like, until it's perfect.
I am hoping that everybody goes to DJShortee.com, signs up for lessons after this, and then somehow she's so happy with me that I learn how to scratch for free. That's what I'm because I really want to learn. That's like, by the time I'm 40, I want to be scratching just like you. All right?
Yes, it's possible.
That's my thing.
Well, it's possible now because there's so many resources for you to learn from. Back then, we had nothing. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have learned from Faust to actually show me stuff and my crewmates. But when he started way before me, at least 7 or 8 years before me. And he was listening to records trying to recreate the scratches. So there weren't even any videos. By the time I came around, we were like analyzing DMC VHS tapes and like trying to like figure out what people were doing. Still no lessons.
Unbelievable.
But he was listening to stuff. So now it's much easier to learn a lot quicker than it was back then.
Yeah,
those old DMC videos were great, and those were great to see everyone cop ideas from. And I think one of the things that the memories that comes out to me is I know you've been doing NAMM shows and other trade shows for a while, but the NAMM ones are the ones that always stuck out to me. And I would see you and Faust or you solo doing a little clinic. And just to see how hard you worked up there and how you were entertaining. And those shows are not easy to entertain because you don't know who you're playing to. You're just playing. And you've always had the energy and the passion behind it. It's always been, you know, in the technicality too, which I think is what people are really going to appreciate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, NAMM is really stressful. NAMM is one of those.
Yes.
Anyone who's played NAMM knows this, that it is not like playing a nightclub. People are not distracted in any way. They are right in front of you with their hands folded, just like looking and waiting for you to do something. And they're like right here, like right in front of you.
Yeah.
And but it's fluorescent lighting. It's really noisy. And the thing about NAMM is everybody's videotaping, so it lives on way past NAMM.
And let's not forget that sometimes you're playing on gear that you've probably seen maybe once, if not twice, from whatever manufacturer. I mean, it's crazy. I don't miss those days at all. I like my new version when I go there and just shoot videos with Justin, and I don't have to do anything. No pressure there.
You're the talent, man. You're the talent.
I'm the talent. But yeah, I mean, those shows are not easy, and for anyone who's been there, it's loud. There's a lot going on. But to be able to hold it down year after year and still go there and do it, and especially on behalf of a manufacturer, that's a very big accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But you hit the nail on the head that you will get like the beta version of a mixer. And you may never have touched it before, and you have to go on and make that product look good. And even when it's not working correctly, which has happened to me many times, where it's like, oh, I guess that's not working. I'm not going to touch that button anymore. You know, like you just kind of like have a smile on your face the whole time. You don't want people to read it on your face, but inside it's like my mind is like exploding, like, oh my God, you know, but on the outside it's like, hey, yeah, I'm jamming. But yeah, it's super stressful, but it's such a great opportunity. So the DJs out there that are watching this, if you ever get a chance to partner with a company or a brand and showcase at NAMM, definitely take it, even if it's a small company that you're like, oh, I'd rather like, you know, do it for in music, you know, Rain or Pioneer or something like that. Go for the smaller company, because that gets you in the door. And then you can use all the other companies and then grow your relationships, and soon you'll be 20 years later like me, having played every year. You know,
I mean, you look at Serato. I mean, when Serato was first there, nobody knew who they were, nobody cared about it, and then all of a sudden somebody introduced them to Mike May, and boom, a TTM 57 and an SL1 interface was born, and we have a legacy. So you know, and that came out of nowhere. So that show can be anything to anyone as long as you make it something. And you know, that's clearly on the smaller side of shows that you've done, but I think it's pretty significant that people understand, you know, that's a big part of you know, the industry, the respect of the industry that you've earned. Now Justin's got some other things here. You are a published author,
amongst a voice coach, an instructor, a DJ of like every genre you can imagine. Dubstep, drum and bass being one of the ones that I was very surprised about.
That's my heart. That's my favorite genre.
Just I know, like that's your main thing, but very eclectic. And one of the quotes was, you know, think of your favorite EDM DJ with skills, which I found to be one of my favorite quotes about you. Yeah.
Magnetic Mag. Shout out to Magnetic Mag. Yeah. That's one of my favorite quotes too, because a lot of times people are like, oh, that's just techno music. Doom, doom. There's no talent in that. I'm like, no, it's all genres. You can like flip and make super, super creative. And there's a whole art to producing techno and making it sound so simple yet so elegant, you know what I mean? So yeah, I love tons of different genres of music, and scratching, mixing, beat juggling, you know. And in terms of the book, my high school English teacher would probably be so ecstatic because I barely passed high school English. But Hal Leonard came to me and was like, they had seen
the irony.
Yeah, the irony, exactly.
Who wrote that? Wait, hold on. Who wrote the preface? Was it Z-Trip? Did Z-Trip write the beginning of the book?
There isn't one. I should have gotten. Actually, I should have gotten Faust.
Craze?
Or Craze. Yeah, exactly.
Or your husband?
Yeah, exactly. No, but Hal Leonard is for those that don't know, Hal Leonard is like the biggest music publisher in terms of like sheet music and instructional books and stuff for music in the world, and distributor. And so when I was coming up in band, like those were the books that I learned from. That was the sheet music that I read from. And so fast forward to 1997, I produced my first instructional DVD on mixing, scratching, and beat juggling, and it was also the first in the world of an instructional. I'm sorry, it was a VHS, so not DVD yet. That went to DVD a few years later.
Some people might not know what that is.
Was it a laser disc?
No, it wasn't even round. It was a rectangle VHS tape, old and crusty VHS. But yeah, so and because I saw a void, because I was like, no one is making instructional videos, right? And there was no YouTube or anything. And so I was like, I want to make an instructional video that teaches all the fundamentals of DJing. Like some are doing just scratching and some, but not everything. So I produced that. That was Shortee's DJ 101. Then it went to DVD and I made a series. So we had 202. I also featured all those names I just dropped in those DVDs. And then also, the Beat Junkies were in the DVDs as well, interviews and stuff. It was educational, the whole thing. And then after that, I taught at the Scratch DJ Academy. I was a head professor there for 4 years. I've taught at pretty much every DJ school around, like all the biggest names, and including Berkeley and the Grammy Foundation and stuff like that. So when Hal Leonard came to me asking to write a book, I was like, no one wants to learn to DJ from a book. You have to at least put like some sort of video element to it. So I fought for the DVD. We got the DVD in the book. But then I was like, I will do this as long as I can produce videos for you guys. And then I did that. It was hell writing the book. But I'm glad I did it because it really helped me organize like my curriculum even further. And then they hired me to do a DJ instructional series, Shortee's Complete DJ Method, which is available now. And it's like every equipment. So Serato controllers, tractor controllers, turntables, CDJs. I teach you to DJ on whatever you pick your poison, and that all came from this book, which all came from that first crusty VHS video that Faust and I filmed in our living room, Shortee's DJ 101. So the lesson in that is start before you're ready, because
Absolutely.
I was not ready to film that at all. Like we had borrowed someone's high-8 camera to do it, but we just made it happen. And now so much has come from just that one action. So if you take anything away from this live stream right now, if you're watching, start before you're ready, because a lot of us will work on tracks and it's not ready, and then it just sits on your hard drive and it never sees the light of day, or you'll work on something and you won't think it's good enough and you never share the video of it or whatever. Just start before you're ready, put it out there, and then just keep 100%. Doing it. It's about volume, just keep doing it, because you're going to get better and better each and every time.
There's two things that you've said so far that I'm trying to stress as we're going through this period right now. And it's drop the ego, because you got to drop the ego right now if you want to keep working, and you got to try different things. I get it. You do this, but you know what? You got to try that, and you got to get out of your comfort zone. Those two things I think are going to basically allow people to do better or not,
Yeah.
There's something that I heard is that, you're teaching on turntables, CDJs, controllers, you name it. And I think that's a lost art. I think people are so stuck in, I'm going to get the most popular item that's out today, and that's what I'm going to learn on. And I came from, Gemini turntables, so that when I stepped up to a 1200, I was never more comfortable in my entire life. And, I had a Gemini dual CD player, so a Denon dual deck was like gold. A Pioneer CDJ 700, now you walk up to a 2000, and it's like, oh my God, I've reached the holy grail. So I think that, people are so caught up in having the latest, greatest, most expensive product, instead of maybe just learning the basics and working up to it.
Yeah. The only thing I would advise is don't buy cheap. So just buy quality. Even if it's inexpensive is one thing, cheap is another thing. So you will drive yourself crazy if you're on decks that are really just crappy, cheap turntables. It's better to invest in a good DJ mixer and a good turntable and a cheaper DJ mixer, because you can have all the key features on a DJ mixer, but a turntable, it has to be quality. So just
I went through it when I learned
shopping.
Yeah, I went through it when I learned with not a high torque, and it was just you can't learn that way. You can't learn that way, It's just not the right way.
You'll think it's you too when you don't know what. If you're learning, you don't know. Is it me? Is it the gear? And then you just get really, really frustrated because you're like, I suck, but it's not you. It's the gear. So same with the crossfader. If you're a scratch DJ or you're wanting to learn to scratch, one of the things I advise is make sure you get, the whole rest of the mixer could be shit, but as long as the crossfader is good, for a scratch DJ, just make sure you have a nice sharp fader, because you will drive yourself nuts if you're trying to scratch on a fader that has like a huge gap between the wall and the actual sound. Like you can see my fader here, right? So you want it to come right in and you want it to be sharp. But that is one key thing I would say for a scratch DJ as well, specifically.
100%. And then, I obviously you're teaching and we'll go a little bit in depth, but one of the other things I see is people start and they're so focused on the screen and not watching what they're doing and really focusing on the art form of it. They're more focused on what, how do I make my computer do this? And I think that's something that they can learn. And I know that we're going to talk about tips in routine. This is my favorite part. As a completely non-capable scratch DJ who all of my best friends are turntablists, I think you've got some great tips to instantly clean up scratching that still won't help me. But I'll let you hit these because these are awesome points, and I think anyone could benefit from these immediately.
And I think before she gets going, let's let her explain this without the card here, right? You can do that, right?
Oh, of course.
And let's get Kevin and myself off the screen because people want to see you. Hold on.
Sure, and I'll jump to the overhead. The 4 tips to clean up your scratching, I already touched on the first one, which is your fader curve. But I have a few cameras here, so let's see. There you go. So now you got the top view. So the fader curve, definitely make sure if you do have, you should have a curve adjustment on your mixer. On this mixer, it's in the front. It goes to fade, so it kind of fades in. So here's a sound, right? And here's the curve on fade. Hear how it kind of fades in rather than, and so if I was to cut it, it's kind of like wah, 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 whereas on the cut side, it's just instant. Right? So you can do so much more with it's just like really, really tight and close. So not just a sharp curve, but it has to be close to the edge. So I know there's some controllers out there, and specifically where there's like, you could park a car between the gap between here and where the fader, the sound actually starts. So you definitely want to test that. So that's the first thing. And then make sure you get a mixer with a curve adjustment so you can move it to sharp. The second thing is mark your device, whatever it is. So I have a turntable here. I can mark a record, whether it be a control record or a regular record. Regular record, I would just mark it with a sticker on the sound. So I'd put the needle on where the sound is, and I'd find it. So right here, okay. So here, and then I like to mark mine at 12. So if I had a sticker, since the sound starts here, I'd kind of mark it pointing up, right? So you could do that on regular records, but if you have software like DJ software like Serato, you could just hit your cue point and then your mark is always where you want it, right? But the importance of the mark is that, first of all, you're not looking at your screen or your sound waves. Like right here, you could probably see my sound waves here on this Rain 72 mixer, but I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at this, and it's telling me like a clock how long the sound is. Right? So now I know it's 3/4 of a rotation. I know exactly where it starts. So when I bring it back, it's instant. Like I could like have the audio off and know it ends here and starts here. And see, I'm right there. So pay attention to your mark, especially if you're trying to do like more technical cuts where you're staying right at the beginning of the sound. Like a chirp, for example, sounds a lot different here at the beginning versus that's the same scratch. So here you hear the difference. So if your scratches are starting to sound muddy, it could be the sound that you're choosing. So choose a sharp sound if you're looking for a sharp effect there. But if you're on a sharp sound and it starts to sound muddy, that's because you're not paying attention to your mark. So tip number 2, pay attention to your mark. Tip number 3 is turn down the bass. So reduce your bass volume on your scratch sample. And the reason why is you don't want to hear any hand movements on the turntable. I will step back to the mark. Let me step back for a second because I just realized I only talked about the turntable. The mark on a controller is digital. So if you have a jog wheel or a CDJ, make sure you have a way to look at the mark on the actual wheel. So I didn't mention that before. I want to make sure I mention that. And that's really important. A lot of controllers just have plain jog wheels and they don't have any reference point. And so you have to look at the sound wave. So if you haven't bought a controller and you're looking, if you want a controller and you're looking in the market for one, make sure you find one that has some sort of digital readout. Like they'll have a little circle here with a line where you can see it also gives you more information like how long the track is and stuff like that. But just make sure you have a mark on your jog wheel or platter or record or of some sort. If you see the Rain 12s, like their control discs come with the mark. It's like really, really long. So super important. Okay, now to the bass. The bass, you want to turn it down because first of all, the sound sounds muddier when you're scratching a lot. If I have the bass, just listen. You know, it sounds okay, right? But it sounds a lot cleaner if I turn it down. Okay, and you can also have it to around 9 o'clock if it's a sound that has, let's see, if it has like a little lower frequency in it. I don't have one. Yeah, I don't have one right now, but like one that's like, yeah, you want a little bit of that lower frequency, put the bass at around 9 o'clock. But I wouldn't go all the way up unless you're like scratching a beat in. That's different. You want your bass up. But if it's a scratch sample or a vocal that you're scratching and soloing for a period of time, a longer period of time, you want to have it at 9 or at 0. And this also comes from, especially if you're on analog turntables and not using software, because in that case, you're going to hear the vibrations too in the needle, and it's just going to be really, it can cause feedback and all that kind of stuff. And so just with the bass and everything, so you want to definitely keep that down, and that'll just instantly clean up your scratching before you even start scratching. And then the last thing is specifically for my Serato peeps. So anyone using Serato DJ, make sure that you turn key lock off on your scratch sample. So I will keep key lock on when I'm mixing to mix harmonically. And if you guys don't know what that is, you can check out my YouTube channel. I have tons of videos on harmonic mixing, and it breaks that down and the music theory behind that. But you definitely want it on while you're mixing. But when you're scratching, and I'll give you an example. Here is an example with key lock on. So right there, right at the beginning, you heard like a little stutter, and all I did was release it. You hear that? You hear that stuttering? That is because the key is shifting as I'm moving it in various ways, and it's messing things up because Serato is trying to fix the key and keep the sound the same key, right? And force it into that key, so it's then breaking up the audio. So what you want to do is turn key lock off, and now hear the difference. Right? Way cleaner, no artifacts. So those are my 4 tips, just four tips to instantly clean up your scratching. And I'm going to come to the front now so you can see my smiling face. But yeah, so those are my tips. Where are you guys? How is it? Yay!
We're here.
Cool.
And here's Kevin.
Yeah.
We're still here. So
we're still here. We were just enthralled with what you were doing. It was very, very interesting. Thank you for that.
hey, you went ahead. You went ahead. Did we learn the 5 fatalist scratches? What are you doing? You're jumping ahead of the slide.
She's doing that. It's so small on the bottom. 5 fatalist scratches.
Yes, so I'm going to give you all a gift today. I'm going to teach you a micro lesson. Well, you already got one, but I'm going to teach you a micro scratch lesson, and we're going to learn 5 scratches in less than 5 minutes. So let's time me. Let's see if I can do it.
Hold on, before you go into that, I just want to say, anyone who's in the chat box, if you have any questions for Shortee, we're here hanging out for a little while. But of course, you can always find her on her website, DJShortee.com. YouTube, I would imagine, also DJ Shortee. Social media, most likely also DJ Shortee. So any questions you have, you can drop them in the comment box. I'm sure you can find her on social media or any of the channels. And of course, if you want to hire her for private lessons, go to DJShortee.com. I might have to hire you myself because I'd love
to teach you. Teaching is my biggest passion. It really is. Like,
I want a senior citizen.
See, I heard senior citizen discount before he cut you off. That's so funny. I think I'm older than you, but I'm not sure. Okay, so the 5 scratches in 5 minutes or less. The first one is the baby scratch. If you don't know the baby scratch, learn the baby scratch right away. You need it for mixing too. So, and all these are faderless, so we're not going to be using the crossfader. So the first thing, make sure your mark. I mark mine at 12. Some people mark it at the needle, but I'm paying attention to my mark. Put your hand at 9 o'clock right here, and then you just move the record forward and backward. Right? Now, the baby scratch is underestimated. People are like, oh, it's just, which it is, but you really have to develop your record control and know that the better you are and the more you practice, not just the baby scratch, but rhythms with the baby scratch, the better you will be at all your other scratches, because every single scratch is based on the baby scratch. So the baby scratch, forward and back, you can do lower pitched ones, right? Or higher pitched ones where you're pushing it farther, faster. Lower pitched is shorter and slower. So those were all babies, except for the one release that I just threw in there. So now, next scratch, release scratch. Hands at 9 o'clock. What you do is, and you need this for mixing too, all you do is you lift up your hand and let the record go. And as you let the record go, you follow it with your hand. And then you stop it, and then you pull it back. The reason why you follow it with your hand and pull it back, and I'm lifting up here, and I'll jump to the close-up version here, actually, so you can see what my hand is doing, because it is hard to see in the overhead. Right? So you see I'm lifting it up. And the reason why I'm lifting it up is because if you don't, the reason why I follow it is because if you don't follow it, your hand's going to end up in the wrong position when you pull it back. So if I just let it go and then pull it back, now I'm down here. So I have to take this hand and move this hand up here. And that is a time waster. So practice your release scratches just like that. Follow it with your hand. Watch your mark so you know exactly where to bring it back, so you're not bringing it back here and then releasing it and then having a big gap before the sound starts, because that's terrible not only for scratching but also for mixing, because when you release your beat, you want it to be on the beat. You don't want it to be there and delayed, because then it'll be delayed when you drop it into your other track. So that's scratch number 2. Scratch number 3 is the drag. So the way I define the drag is a really slow baby. The traditional drag is just backwards. That backwards part, right? So if you talk to an old school DJ, like my husband, DJ Faust, he'll say that backward part, that's the drag. That's the only drag. But up to me, I say it's a slow baby, either forward or back. So it's like a baby in slow motion. And you can do them really short or really long. And if you're doing them really long like that, you want to keep your hand close to the label rather than going, because you're going to hit the needle, right? So you don't want to be going out there. You don't have that problem on a controller like the Rain 12 or a DJ controller or CDJ, but if you're on a turntable, that's something to be aware of. So the drag can either be forward slow or backward slow. Okay. Third scratch is the scribble. Scribble is a super fast baby. So now my arm is tensing up, right? And sometimes I just use my middle finger and I wiggle it and make a vibrating scribble. Right? But you can also do just a super fast baby. That takes a lot more effort to do that, because I'm like, moving my hand back and forth. really fast. If I vibrate, though, I'm just stiffening up my whole arm all the way up to my shoulder, all the way up here, right? And vibrating. Okay, and then the last scratch in our last minute is the tip scratch. And so this is actually a more advanced scratch, but I teach it to all my beginners, because my beginner scratch DJs, because it really helps you with your record control. And it really, really, really helps you pay attention to that mark, because it's all about the tip of the sound. You got to be on the tip of the sound. So just the tip of the sound, right? So it's right here. So I got to make sure I'm on my mark. And what you do is you just it's kind of a poking motion. Right? And it sounds like one sound, even though it's forward and back. So here's a fast baby, right? And here's a tip. You hear the difference? Both the forward and back become one. And you can think of it like you're touching fire. You know, if you touch fire, oh my God, it's hot, and you come right back. Oh my God, it's hot. It's come right back. So right when you hear the sound, pull it right back. And you can accent them, so you can go. Right? So, and my needle was flying off a little there. But that is a tip scratch. It's also just like the scribble, where you tense up your whole arm when you do it too. Okay, so those are your 5 scratches in 5 minutes. How'd I do? I think I was like right in the 5-minute mark.
Awesome. But you know what? Even if you went 6 minutes, we weren't going to stop you. But before Justin coming off, I said I wanted a senior citizen discount. But
I heard that. Yeah, I think I'm older than you, though.
not by much.
The power that I have behind me here with the control deck. Hold on, wait. What was that, Kevin? Hey, Shorty, what's going on? How are you today?
Justin, I'm good.
Hey, Kev. Oh, wait.
Kevin. Oh, where'd Kevin go?
Hey, buddy.
Before we go to the your exclusive scratch, I just want to hit something in the comments. We have the knucklehead comment of the day from Bill Marsh. Is the baby scratch related to the baby shark?
Oh boy, where is that?
And then Josh Ray's got a great question, which I think you covered. It's probably the key lock suggestion, but newbie here just bought the Rain turntables. Tips on tightening scratches to sync on the other track without getting the rev up sound.
I hate the rev up. I hate the rev up.
Torque. That sounds like it's a torque problem. If you're on the Rain 12s, underneath the Rain 12s, there is a switch. You need to turn it to high torque and not low torque. The low torque, it'll be like every time you release it. And that's kind of like what we were talking about when you're on cheap gear. The cheap gear will only have the low torque and not the high torque setting, like the very expensive quality Rain 12s. And it will always be like that. So on the Rain 12s, you need to make sure it's on high torque, and that will really, really help you. And I would never leave it on low, even for just mixing. It would drive me crazy just in terms of the manipulation. So I hope that answered your question. I hope that's solved the problem. And if it's not that, then it's probably you may be too heavy-handed and you need to lighten your touch.
Yeah, Gabe's got a question too. The scratching effects you're doing, will it be the same way with a controller?
Yes. So the only difference with a controller is that a lot of times the jog wheels are smaller than a platter on a traditional turntable. So traditional turntable has a platter, it's big. A jog wheel on a controller is all one piece. Platter on a turntable, holler, scratch like a girl, slip mats. It's independent, right? So the platter is underneath, and then you put a slip mat down, and then you have the record, and you have that control of independent spinning platter. On a controller, unless it's like the Rain 12 controller or like the Newmark NS7, I think. Yep. And there's the Denon has one with an independent spinning platter. There are a few controllers with independent spinning platters, but for the most part, they're jog wheels. So in that case, it just there are some things you can't do on that. Like for instance, anything like I have a scratch where I go right where I'm touching the platter. Right, and the record's still spinning on top. You can't do that on a jog wheel because there's nothing independent. It's all one piece. And the other big difference is that, like I said before, you need a jog wheel with a readout. so you can see your mark. Otherwise, you can still, of course, scratch with the jog wheel and look at your screen and your sample, but it's a lot more efficient and helpful if you can actually look at your mark on the actual jog wheel. But other than that, you can pretty much do anything on a controller jog wheel. I mean, I can do on a turntable, even hydroplanes or like any advanced scratch. You can definitely do on a controller. It's just a little more difficult the smaller and smaller and smaller the jog wheel gets. So you could be just like on your finger on like the little Hercules or the Numark to go to. You can. I've scratched on that though. Now that they got the fader working good, like it's just like you can still scratch, but it's limited, of course, once you get down to like the little.
You remember that little monster DJ piece, that little monster like tiny portable. We have a guy, DJ Danger, who's a great customer and friend of ours. He was actually at the NAMM show demonstrating for them on that thing, cutting it up like you wouldn't believe, and that's just the craziness. And it's like you wouldn't even know he was on that thing. It's hysterical to watch, but.
The rumor going around that the latency with controllers, you just can't scratch with it. You basically just debunked that right now, right? Because you've been DJing since the 90s, started on turntables, and you're able to do it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, CDJs, controllers, it just depends. The latency thing is your computer. It's not the controller. So that's your computer and your processor. If you're complaining of latency, it is not the controller. But there are cheap controllers out there, but the cheapness of them is more in the quality of the build, like the cheap knobs or, not feature rich or, something like that. But in terms of latency is not a problem. As long as you're on like professional DJ software, like Serato DJ, for example. I can't speak to some of the lower end DJ software products out there. But yeah, that you can do anything on a controller, almost anything, just about, unless you need the independent spinning platter for certain cuts, or you need a big surface for certain cuts. That is also, and I will say, if you're trying to get into scratching and you are a controller DJ and you're fed up with the tiny little jog wheels, but you don't want to spend a bunch of money on a bigger controller or turntables and a mixer or 12s and a 72 or like anything like that, you just want to learn to scratch at an affordable rate while also keeping your other controller for DJing. Get a portable like a Numark.
PT01 USB, PT01 scratch. Yeah.
And get it tricked out like by Jesse Dean Designs or other people that do it too. And you can he'll put like the Pro fader in there, or you can put an Innofader in the portable turntable, and just make sure you get the tone arm tricked out too, because the actual PT01 is a toy, basically, until you upgrade certain parts. You want to upgrade the tone arm. You definitely want to upgrade the needle and the fader, the Crossfader. And you can to get up and running for like a couple $100. Just records. You don't even need DJ software or anything. And you can plug that portable into your controller. I have a student, DJ Keeles. She's a wedding DJ. She loves her controller. She wanted to learn to scratch. She was getting fed up with the wheels on her controller. She got a portable. Now she has her portable next to her controller, and she's jamming. She's dope. So
love it.
That's a tip for you also.
She's a gearhead too, everyone, gentlemen included, which is why another reason why her and I get along so well. So much respect.
And she's a professional hugger, which is why we all get along so well.
Oh my goodness!
We didn't hit that one.
Yeah.
So
we didn't.
Mark asks, "What's your crab scratch look like?" So I don't know if we should go to your exclusive scratch first, or if you want to showcase the crab, or
sure, I'll show both.
Well, do the crab since it's up.
Yeah. So I'll do the crab, and then I'll do the purr after that. So the crab. I'm gonna jump to this camera angle, and I'm going to actually move it now so you can see the fader a bit better. Okay, so the crab, a lot of people think, well, first of all, just so you can hear what it sounds like, you can do, you use your fingers, so you could do 4 fingers, right? That's 4 fingers. Here's 3 fingers. And here's 2 fingers. Right? And there's no such thing as a 1-finger crab. That's a transform. Right? So the crab uses 2 or more fingers. And a lot of people think it's all about the fingers. Just so you know, the fingers go, it's a pinky to pointer. You're not going the other way around. I had one student that was just hell-bent on needing to go the other way around, and it took her a while, and then she got the movement. So it's like this, right? Pinky to pointer. If you're using your pinky, or the finger closest to the pinky, right? And so a lot of people think it's all about the fingers because you see the fingers doing all the work. But really, the magic is in the thumb. Okay? So the thumb is like a spring. So think of it like a spring. It's your source of tension, and you want just enough tension. So you just want to kind of like let it sit there. So you're not pushing. You're just letting it sit there. And this is also useful for transforms. And, you're just letting your thumb rest. Stabs. I'm still letting my thumb rest. But the crab, it's really important. I call it the thumb spring. Okay, so you let your thumb sit there, and you want to have just enough pressure, but you're not actively pushing, that it just holds it there closed until your fingers open it up. And you can see the fader, it's kind of bouncing. You see how it's kind of bouncing? But my thumb is never leaving it. Think it, super glue your thumb to the fader. Don't lift it up. Super glue it. Right? And then you can also after that, you can do crab flares. And, when you're doing a flare, it adds an extra sound. So I'm doing 3 fingers, but I'm getting 4 sounds. Right? So there's so much you can do with the crab, and that's a very advanced scratch, so I won't go into that. But the crab is essentially all about the thumb spring, and you're going pinky to pointer, or the finger closest to the pinky. And a good way to practice it is put a sound on the turntable that's just like plays, like a long tone. If you download my Scratch DJ Toolkit, it's djshortee.com/Scratch DJ Toolkit. You can get a bunch of free scratch samples, and there's a long skipless tone in there that lasts forever. It's looped, and then you could just practice your finger motion. And you can also do this when you're away from your turntables. Just practice this motion. And you need to build up the muscle memory in your fingers in order to do that scratch. But that is the crab scratch. So I hope that answered your question. And then while they still have me up here, I'm just going to go ahead and teach my signature scratch, which is the purr. I'm going to start in this view, and then I'm going to go to the overhead. So the purr is a faderless scratch. And so it's based on the hydroplane. So if anyone knows what the hydroplane is, it's basically you use this part of your finger right here. Hold on. This little nub, right? And you might want to rub your hands together that's my tip. Rub your hands together to get them a little sweaty, because you need some moisture, right? And so I'm basically pulling the record back with this hand, just releasing and pulling it back. And this hand is skipping across, kind of like a rock is skipping across the water, right? If you were throwing across a rock across the water, you know how it skips. That's the effect that you're getting with that. And you're hearing like this little vibrating, bubbly sound. But you can also do it with your thumb. And essentially, it's these fingers pushing out, and then the thumb is what's skipping. So I'm going to jump to the overhead now, because it helps to see the angle in which the thumb is going. Right? You see what I'm doing with my thumb? I'm kind of going towards the label a little bit, and my hand is doing this. And so what I do, I have cats. For those that don't know, I have 3 cats, and they purr. And so I was trying to create like a continuous sound, because it kind of sounds like cats purring. And so the way I do that is a double-handed hydroplane with my thumb. Right? And that is what I call the purr. It also reminds me of my cats kneading, like they're making biscuits. You know how they do on your belly when they knead. But that is the purr. That's my signature scratch. Maybe other people do it. I haven't seen other people do it, but maybe they do. I'm sure they do. But I call it the purr. Maybe other people have a different name for it. But that's my little gift to you. Everyone always asks me about that. This is the first time I've taught it in a video. So you got a special gift from me. I usually don't.
That's awesome.
Got a lot. This whole thing has been a gift. It really has been. It's been amazing.
You know, I just got to say, I see my man DJ Danny D-Rock. He says, "Hey, Shorty, what's up, girl?" Eric K in the house.
We haven't even gotten to the performance yet.
We got a couple of OGs in the house. I love it.
Woo!
That's my girl, Rhiannon. I see you, Rhiannon Rose. Oh, you're waiting on me? Are you waiting on me? Do you need
No,
me?
we're not. We're just going through these comments. We're just saying hello to our amazing and our audience, our IDJNOW family that has been watching your great show here tonight. So
Shannon says, "Thank you so much. Have to switch to Twitch to catch your wedding DJ at 6."
Yeah. By the way, do you have video of your wedding that you could share with us?
I do. I can't share it right now, but I can share it with you after, though. Yeah, we have the whole video of the wedding.
I'm kidding. But the other thing I was curious about, like, at any point, do you and your husband speak to each other in Scratch at all? Like, like do you emote in a Scratch like type of language? Because I heard you do it before. You were kind of like, you almost sounded like a turntable. So I'm wondering.
You guys battle to see who does the dishes? Is that how it works?
Well, we don't really argue unless it's about, like, I wanted to play that track or that when we're working on music, that sounds like crap. You know, or like whatever. You're
living the dream.
It's not like you don't spend enough time with me. Like, we don't have that issue. We spend 24/7 together. But yeah, we do talk like without speaking when we DJ, definitely. So we don't speak in Scratch like in a regular day today. But when we're on 4 turntables, we perform as Urban Assault on 4 turntables. We also produce as Urban Assault. We don't have to speak to each other the whole set. It could be a 3-hour set. We don't have to talk to each other once. We can just know just by a look, like, you fucked up, or get that song on, or oh, that was dope, but you don't have to say anything. You just know. And we played together so long. We've been together 25 years and DJ'd together for that same amount of time. So you just get this chemistry going, like you do in a relationship on the decks. And so you can tell when the other person's mad, when the other person's happy, where to go with the set. You can kind of know what the other person wants to do. And because we're playing together on 4 turntables, but we're not speaking and saying, okay, play this next or play that next. It's just like, so we do have that sort of mental telepathy going on.
I've got this weird image of you guys walking around outside with PTO on scratches, like talking to each other now, just the way Justin framed that question. Oh my God.
All right. Well, I think, as you can see behind me, I turned my lights on.
I noticed every time you come on, you have a new light.
I think it's time for the time that we've all been waiting for. We want to see you throw. Didn't we have an important question first? Are we doing the performance? I don't know. I want to do the performance, and then we're gonna get back. We're gonna end with the question. I want to see this amazing DJ throw down. So this is what I'm saying to everybody. It's performance time. Kevin and I are going away. We recommend sitting down. DJ Shortee, do your thing.
All right, I'm just going to scratch for y'all right now. This is a beat produced by myself and DJ Faust. Urban Assault represent Heavy Artillery Recordings. And the sounds that I'm scratching are in the Scratch DJ Toolkit that I mentioned, djshortee.com/Scratch DJ Toolkit. And the beat, Visions, is in there too, so you get it all for free. There you go. There's a little scratching for you. And if you want all those sounds, you can get those at djshortee.com/scratch DJ toolkit, along with that original beat as well.
That's all I have to say right there.
Goodness. We are not regulated by the FCC tonight. Thank goodness.
And yeah, so it's like you won't get taken, your stream won't get taken down. We will not hit you for copyright infringement. You can play as much as you want.
Yes. That was awesome. And I was even throwing in my ticker to the beat because I was so into it, doing my thing back here. So that was good. Thank you so much. And IDJNOW fan, did you guys enjoy that? Did you ladies enjoy that out there? That's what we want to know, because that's what we brought DJ Shortee here for. So.
Well, I just want to give it up to all the ladies. And it's a misconception that there aren't a lot of female DJs. So I'm really happy you guys are doing this, because there's loads of us.
Yeah.
And there's so many dope female DJs out there. And, there's way many more than people realize. It's just that on the bills, in terms of the gigs and stuff, the shows, it's a lot of male domination going on those lineups. And you might have all male lineups and no females a lot of times, especially the bigger festivals. And also, just like in general, just people tend to just think that there aren't a lot of females, but there's loads of us. They just need to be given the platform, and also paid equal pay, because a lot of females out there don't get paid the same as dudes, and they're as skilled, if not more, and doing the same job. So pay equity is a really big thing in the DJ community as well. So I want to give it up to all my female DJs and female turntablists. There's loads of us. We scratch, we beat juggle, we do the tricks. We're skilled. And it's just it's the future is not female. The present is female.
And I think of the people that you inspire too. And I think it's Justin, Sophia, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. DJ Sophia is a great friend of ours. And she's 13 going on 14. And she is probably a little mini protege, because she's coming up, and there's a lot of young female DJs that we're starting to see now, and it's exciting, and it's exciting time. And like I said, I just want to live in a world, and I want my daughter to live in a world where it's an option for her, and she doesn't even have to think twice about it, and that's what we're going for.
I'm not gonna lie. Lockdown DJ lessons have been in session, and my kids are loving it. So
that's awesome.
It's been fun. It's been fun. And I'm certainly not in the teaching level of you, and I'd rather have you teaching them, but they listen to me sometimes.
But hey, I want to say one note about teaching, and this goes for anyone that is wanting to teach, or maybe you're not wanting to teach, you're just wanting to learn to scratch. Teaching is a great way to learn. Or to learn to DJ or scratch or anything. When you learn something, teach it right away to someone else, because you will absorb it in a totally different way than you would just learning it yourself. So it's not just like paying it forward and also teaching someone, but selfishly, you will get better because you will understand it more deeply, because you have to break it down into steps. And it will also absorb much better, like deeply in you, because you've just taught it to someone else and had to like go through the process. So in terms of teaching, you just got to be one step ahead. I started teaching in 1997. I started DJing in 1995. I'd only been DJing 2 years. My friend couldn't get the flare. That's how I started teaching. My friend, DJ Enki, shout out. He's in the Bay Area. He couldn't get the flare. I had just learned it like a week before and I taught it to him. And that's how I started teaching. It's not like I was this guru that just came and swooped in and taught him. You know, I was just one step ahead. But teaching him that, he told me later, like 10 years later, that had he not learned that, he was going to quit DJing because he was so frustrated with scratching. He thought it was a skill that a hip hop DJ should have.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so he was going to quit DJing had he not learned that. So you just got to be one step ahead. And like even with my own students,
especially now.
Yeah, I'm very experienced, but I don't want to be a guru. I want to be a guide on the side. And I will admit, I don't know everything either. You know what I mean? So I want to help. If I don't know it, we'll figure it out together. But that is my thing. A lot of my students, all my students, their assignment is always to teach someone else. So I hear you saying I'm not as advanced as you. I'd rather than be learning from you talking about me, but you have value in what you're teaching. Plus it's a relationship too and a bonding moment between, you know, kids and parents and stuff as well. But just from this pure teaching tip, you just gotta be one step ahead.
I have no value as a scratch DJ. Zero.
Well, you gotta know.
That is not where I have any value. Okay.
But Kevin is teaching his kids, right? You're teaching your kids on lockdown, and you know you don't have to be super advanced. He's just, you know, you just got to know what they need to know, and you fall back in love with it too. I mean, like I said earlier, teaching is what I'm most passionate about as everything I do, whether it be DJing, acting, performing, anything. Teaching is my favorite because I can reach more people. I can make a bigger impact, and I feed off their energy because I get so excited when I see them get it, and then they go out and showcase their skills, and they're touching more people, and the light just spreads. So teaching is amazing for you as a teacher. Like I love teaching, but I selfishly really love it. It's not just that I'm so generous and I'm giving people these gifts. I am giving, you know, gifts of knowledge, but I get something out of it too. And so I encourage everyone to teach, even if you don't want to be a teacher, because it'll make you a better DJ.
I think that comes through for sure. Absolutely.
And it's perfect lead. That's a perfect lead into the question that you had.
Absolutely.
What is your best advice to someone who is looking to start their pursuit of being a scratch DJ?
How'd I do with that, Kev? How was my grammar? Okay.
You did good.
I told you I put it together.
Although you put a Pioneer DJM V10 in there, which is like the least scratchy mixer ever. But hey, that's fine.
Hey, no one knew that until you said it. But
you're welcome.
Thanks for calling me out, dude.
All right.
My job.
Graphically,
I pull up my desktop.
Aesthetically, it looks awesome.
I know I make it look easy, but it's not.
So my advice, I actually have two bits of advice. The first one is just from a technical gear standpoint. Just kind of like piggybacking on what I said before. Make sure that you invest. Like if you're going to be a turntable DJ, get quality turntables. You can cheap out on the mixer a little bit, but make sure it has a quality fader. The fader is what will make or break you as a scratch DJ. That's why there are companies out there like InnoFader, for example, who only make faders because the crossfader is the most important thing to a scratch DJ. And then the second thing would be the surface that you're touching. So a lot of people prefer turntables because it's a bigger surface. So from or like Rain 12s is great because it feels exactly like a turntable, but you get all the benefits of a controller. You don't have to deal with the tone arm and stuff like that. So from a technical standpoint, just make sure that crossfader's on point. And then from a more general education standpoint, after doing this for 25 years and teaching for 23 years, my advice to anyone wanting to start to learn to scratch is find a teacher or a coach or a class. Someone that you can get feedback from, someone that can actually see what you're doing and help you, and so that you don't fall into any bad habits or you think you're just frustrated. You're like, I can't get this, and all you're doing, there's this one little thing, like just one tweak, like, oh, well, you're starting the fader closed and it needs to be open. Oh, wow, that's so, like in an instant. me or any other teacher could see the problem and fix it right away. Whereas you could be spending years not knowing you're doing it wrong or get frustrated and quit. And I'm speaking from experience because, like I said, when I started, there were no DJ schools. There were no DJ videos in terms of educational tutorials. No one was teaching unless you had a mentor like I did, or you found someone, or you learned from your crewmates. Like I said, my mentor, DJ Faust, learned from listening to records. DJ Jazzy Jeff, scratching. He was listening to the record. He's the DJ I'm the rapper on that record on the B side. He's listening, and that's how he learned the transform, just by trying to mimic it. Imagine how hard it is not being able to see, right? But now we have all these great resources. You have YouTube. So I would just totally just dive in and submerge yourself in all things scratching. Definitely go the YouTube route. Definitely to go the free tutorial route by all means. But if you want to learn quickly, get in a class with not just any class or with any coach or any teacher, but someone that is good at teaching. There's a lot of DJs out there that are really skilled DJs, but they aren't that great at teaching or explaining things, breaking things down into steps. And sometimes you can have a really great teacher that might not be that great of a DJ, but what you want is to learn. So you're not booking them for a gig or whatever. They might not be the most skilled, but they might just be amazing at this one technique, for example. But so you want to learn from a good teacher, whether it be a class setting or online coaching. I know myself and other DJs out there teach online in terms of private lessons or classes or a group coaching program where you can at least like submit videos and get feedback on your actual skills. I think that's the key, because a lot of people are like, it takes so long to learn, or yeah, I could say practice. Of course, practice and repetition, you're going to get better. But the way to like fast track yourself and not do what I did and what my husband did and all our generation of DJs had to do, because there were no tutorials. It took us forever to learn things because there was no one that really knew how to teach it, and some of it was being created at the time. But now everyone has the gift of all these opportunities of being able to learn for free online with tutorials, and then also with actual schools and teachers and stuff. So that's my advice, is find someone, even if it doesn't even have to be a school or someone you're paying. It could be a mentor. If you find a mentor that's willing to teach you for free, you don't have to pay, just as long as it's a good teacher. But you have someone there that is there giving you that interactive feedback, helping you break through those not only blocks through technical issues, but also mental blocks. Mindset is a huge thing, especially for all DJs, but also scratching, like it's just any artist, for example, mindset is huge. You have a lot of mental blocks that get in the way. So if you are lucky enough to get an instructor that can pair the mindset piece with the skill piece together, you'll be unstoppable, because there'll be nothing holding you back. Because a lot of times our mind holds us back. Our body can do it, but our mind's like, no, you can't do it yet, or you're not good enough, or you're not valuable enough, that kind of stuff.
I was just going to say, not to interrupt, but Steve asked, does anyone teach that in Connecticut? And my response was going to be, just go look at djshortee.com/DJ-lessons. And I think what's interesting is right on this, it's custom curriculum created for you, the student, hands-on instruction, personalized feedback. And I think my favorite things here, 100% of my focus, which is huge when it comes to lessons. And then this jumped out of me, a holistic approach to incorporating a positive mindset. You don't get that from a lot of schools and from a lot of group classes. So, Steve, I'm sure there is somebody who teaches in Connecticut that you could probably find.
I think we've learned over the last 8 weeks, you can do stuff virtually. Absolutely.
Yes.
So, and as we saw with these camera angles, it's probably even better than, it's just as good, at least, because you see some really great camera angles of you doing exactly what you're teaching. And the other thing I wanted to say real quick was, you said, tell people to teach. And you talked about some people that are good at doing but can't teach. Somehow you're able to do both. So kudos to you, because that is totally right with what you said. Because I can do stuff. I'm not great at training people a lot of times. I get frustrated. So thank you for being so great at both. I mean, that's an amazing thing. So
Well, I wasn't born with it. I will say it's a learned skill. So the only reason why I feel, and I'm proud to say I'm a good teacher because I have plenty of testimonials that say that's not me. You can listen to my students; they'll say that. But it's because I've been teaching since the beginning. I still have one of the things that makes it really hard for really advanced DJs to start teaching is because they have a advanced mindset. Right? They can't get in that beginner's mindset anymore because they're so far separated from that. But when you start teaching early, it helps you because you're still a beginner. You just got, like I said, got to be one step ahead. So I'm fortunate enough that I started before I was ready to teach 2 years after I started DJing, and I've carried that beginner's mindset with me the whole time. And also, whenever I learn something, I make sure I teach it to someone else because that instills that also. So you can learn to teach. It just takes practice. And if you've been doing it a long time, it'll just take a little bit more practice to sort of deconstruct what you do and really be able to explain it in steps to another person. But in terms of online lessons, there's plenty of course, I'm biased. Please book the lessons with me. But there's other people. I want to shout out Rob Swift and other people. He's my homie who have online lessons. He's great. If you want beat juggling lessons, he's amazing. I also teach beat juggling, but he's also amazing. I want to give love to other teachers out there. But yeah, online. The only drawback is that I can't touch you. I can't hug you. I can't physically hold your hand. But other than that, I'm holding your hand virtually through the whole process. I try to make it as much like you're in the room with me. And I can see your gear too. Like I show you, don't sweat the tech. I help you set up your tech in the first lesson. And you can even do it with just a smartphone, But I make sure that I have plenty of camera views so that you can really get the full experience of almost being in the room with me. And then I just take you on that journey. And if you want to switch it up halfway through, that's one advantage of working with a private coach is that it's not a set curriculum. Yes, I will make you a custom curriculum and I have tons of curriculums for each topic. But I'm also very adaptable. So if you're like, you know what, I want to switch it up and go this direction, I shift and go with you. Or I see something that you're doing. There's another thing I can capitalize. A good teacher will be able to look at what you're doing and capitalize on your strengths and be like, oh, you can do this. Let me bring this piece into it. And then that expands things too. So online I love teaching online. It took me 2 years to figure out the setup and also for the tech to catch up with me. And right here, I know my screen looks a little dark, but I have the sun in front of me right now. But yeah, so the technology, it's catching up to us, but now is like prime time.
And now any of your students, by the way, I'm sure you have a lot of questions about tech. So let DJ Shortee teach how to DJ and scratch. If you have questions on tech, call IDJNOW because we sell all this stuff.
Don't call us either. Go to YouTube.
Or I'll give you a preliminary and then I'll be like, okay, call.
We'll help you.
Wait,
we'll help you. And then Shortee will teach you.
I've got a question relative to your students because again, I'm reading the page and I see DJ Analyze here, who is an old friend, and I'm looking and I got to know. And this is again a whole name dropping opportunity.
What up, Mo?
Who is your most beloved famous student or a student who's gone on to the most success?
Obama.
Well, he didn't learn to DJ from me, but I would love to teach him. Well, I don't like to play favorites, but I've had a lot of very successful students. But even if they haven't I've also had students that are just successful in their own realm. Like they don't want to be club DJs or whatever, but they just love the craft of scratching and they just want to be scratch musicians. But in terms of shout outs, you just brought up Anna. I met her at one of my first few NAMs. DJing for Stanton. Shout out to Stanton, who's coming.
Oh, who's coming back?
Coming back.
Crazy, right?
Exactly. And so that NAM show, and it was around the time I had never seen another female scratch DJ face to face. Never been in the room with one. This was like in 2002-ish. We both argue about the year, Anna and I, but it's I think it's around 2002.
It was 2002, 2003. It was around that time. I remember.
Around that time. And so the only female DJs that I had seen were Cut and Candy. Shout out to Candy. And she was in a DMC video of battle. and then Symphony. And Symphony is original Beat Junkies crew, and she was the first female I ever saw beat juggling. And that's when I was learning to beat juggle. This was in 1995, and all I saw were dudes, and I'm used to being the only girl doing the dude stuff. I'm a black belt. I'm a drummer. You know, like I'm used to that. But when I saw her, I was like, yes, girls do this too. And she was a huge thing for me in terms of I was doing it, but that just gave me like ultra drive in terms of motivation, seeing her do it. So my next goal was to scratch with another female or just to, you know, be in the room with another female turntablist. And so I'd never met one. And I was at NAMM, and my husband and I were walking around, and it was, I think, at the Behringer booth. And she was scratching. And I was like, whoosh, that's a girl. She's scratching. And dragged my husband over, like, oh my gosh. And then I immediately like grabbed her, and I was like, who are you? And come scratch with me. And I dragged her over to the Stanton booth. And turns out she had my DJ 101 video. And she learned to flare, the one-click flare from that video. So technically, she's my student from back in the day, even though it was through video. I taught her. And that's how we met, and we instantly bonded. And that's the first time I've ever scratched with a female. I love you, Mole Nubbins. Her nickname is Mole. I always call her Mole. But she's one of my best friends. I love Anna. She's an amazing DJ, an amazing turntablist. She just wrecks it every time she's on the decks. But yeah, that's when we met back in 2002. We did a tour, a bunch of tours called Twice as Nice. So we played on 4 turntables. This was at raves too, back when she was playing breaks and I would play drum and bass. But yeah, I love Anna. She's amazing. So if I'm going to shout out someone, she jumped in the chat, and she's definitely one of my students. So from back in the day, but I look at her as an equal. Like, it's not like this. It's right. Like, I love her. And she's amazing, and she's so talented at everything she does, and she's beautiful, and she's great. And I hope you're still in the chat, because I'm just blowing you up, Anna. I love her. So
probably
shout
not.
Out to Analyze.
It's just like when someone requests a song, you finally play it and they're gone, you know? It's the worst.
It's awesome.
That always happens to me.
Yeah.
Awesome. This was a good one.
This was great. This was really great. We had a great time. DJ Shortee, Shannon, thank you so much. We really, really appreciated your time.
Thank you very much.
IDJNOW fam, thank you for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed this. We tried to do something different for you tonight and do a little bit of a tutorial here with one of the greats. So, I mean, this was amazing, and I'm just so glad it came together. Thank you.
You know, we got Memorial Day coming up this weekend. I hope everybody stays safe. I know Danny D-Rock is working on a project. Danny, if you want to drop the link, go for it. But a whole bunch of Long Island DJs are getting together, doing a whole weekend Memorial Day party. So it's really great to see everybody in the community step up. I don't know what you got going on Memorial Day out there, but you know, hopefully you have some kind of relaxation, but also some live streaming going on, because I think the world needs to see more DJ Shortee. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, on Saturday, the day before Memorial Day, I am doing a live stream. It's educational. All my live streams are educational. I am going to do one drum and bass live stream in June for Tight Crew. It's a crew in the Northeast, New York. Shout outs, Boston, Northeast area. So I will rarely do a live stream DJ set. Most of my live streams are instructional. And this Sunday, I'm doing a scratch DJ workout. It's a live interactive practice session. You can, on my YouTube, it's 4 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. EST. So 7 p.m. on the East Coast, 4 p.m. on the West Coast. And I take you through a whole guided practice session. This is the third one that I will have done live stream on YouTube. You can also watch the 2 other replays. They're up forever. I'm never taking them down. They're for free. It's all free. I'm giving it all away for free. Download the Scratch DJ Toolkit before you get, and the link is on my YouTube channel. It's also on my website to download that toolkit with the samples and the beats. And you have your scratch samples, and you scratch along with me, and I take you through all these different scratch drills, and you learn along the way. And it lasts about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, because I tend to over deliver, as you can tell. But yeah, that's this Sunday, and then they'll just prep you for your Monday gigs, so you'll be all ready to scratch and show off your new skills on the live streams. I'm
excited. I figure by Memorial Day Monday, I'm going to be doing the baby scratch, the tip, the scribble.
Scribble?
For sure. Yeah. I'm going to send you video of me. I bought turntables. I got them again just to get my scratching back You know,
Yes.
Danny
so
Danny D-Rock.
I never had it, but
I see them.
Danny D-Rock. This is probably a tough one because you've only met like 6 people in your life.
Yes.
He wants to know if you remember
Yes.
going to Roosevelt Field with Sprite.
Yep. He's talking about the Sprite tour that I did. Yep. This was like in 2004-ish, 2003, 2004. And we did a bunch of cities across the U.S. It was a mall tour for Simon Malls, right? And so it was Sprite and Simon Malls in conjunction. And my DJ booth was a massive Sprite can. It was like a massive, huge can of Sprite, but like on its side.
Your thirst.
With the it said, I think it said that like all over the place. And my turntables were in it, and so I would do these stage shows with like Disney stars like 3LW and Lil Mo and like what, and it was these mall concerts at malls with these like sort of teeny bopper type events, and then I would then go to the station in the mall with my Sprite can, and there would be a line. It would be like Santa Claus. I called it Shortee Claus, where all the kids would line up, and they'd all come up, and then they come behind and say, pick your DJ name. Okay, put your hand here, put your hand here. Okay, start scratching. And then they scratch. I teach them a scratch, and then it's like, okay, make the B-girl pose, make the B-boy pose, take a picture, right? And then they get free Mentos. And then I send them on their way, and they get back right in the end of the line. And it was just like that. It was like a cycle the whole time. So that was the Sprite detour.
So you don't remember it at all?
So I don't remember it at all, and I do remember Roosevelt. I met DJ Lazy Boy on that tour. Shout out to DJ Lazy Boy. He's a champion DJ also, and he was just learning to DJ back then. And I taught him a few scratches, and then on the Sprite can, and then I went over to his house later. And we were just scratching it up. So shout out to Lazy Boy. If you don't know, better act like you know. He's an amazing DJ. But I met him on that Sprite detour as well. So yes, Danny, I remember it. And I wasn't shopping. No, to answer what you wrote in the chat, I wasn't shopping. I was
That's awesome.
working. Oh, there's Faust.
Look what I found. I was looking for. I typed in DJ Shortee Sprite can, but this is what I found. So I figured I'd share this.
Oh yeah, I'll have to find a picture of the Sprite can for you. It's massive. It was bigger than me. It was crazy.
Awesome. This was good stuff. I think just looking at the comments here, I mean, oh my goodness, everyone loved it, and we're really happy that this went well. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing this wealth of knowledge with our audience, because I think a lot of people are afraid to scratch. I know I was. And you make it seem like it's something that you can definitely do, and that's what I loved about, when we met and when we had our conversation to kind of set this up. So thank you very much again.
You're welcome. It's just playing an instrument, just like any other instrument. You just, anyone can play the guitar. You just got to learn and take lessons or whatever. Anyone can scratch. It's just like step 1, step 2, step 3, go. And then it's about finding your flow and putting things together. And that's where it gets really magical. But it's really not complicated. Anyone who is teaching scratching and it's complicated, go find someone else, because you'll just get frustrated. It really is just step, step, step. It's a lot easier to teach how to scratch than it is to teach how to mix and beat match, because that's basing on tuning their ear, the student's ear, whereas scratching is literally like, put your hand here, put your hand here. Okay, move them out, move them in. Okay, now do that a bunch of times over and over, and now practice it. You're doing your reps in the gym.
Well
so
said.
yeah. I expect to see your babies, your tips.
I'm doing my fingers. I'm already practicing.
Yes, already. Yep, pinky to pointer for your crabs.
I love it, Kevin. Why don't you end this thing?
Awesome, Shortee. Thank you so much for joining us. You're such a humble pioneer, and I don't think you get enough credit for what you do for the industry and enough recognition. That's just me personally, which is one of the reasons I think that we needed to do this. And I know Justin's got some more great female Power Pack lineups coming soon, which I'm excited about. But again, just want to thank all of our healthcare workers, first responders, everybody out there who's holding it down. We truly appreciate you. Everybody in the comment box, Danny D-Rock, I'll see you on this live stream this weekend for the whole weekend concert. You guys are nuts, but I'm sure you'll pull it off somehow.
I'll meet you there.
We got another one of these coming up next week, right?
Yes, we do, with our good friends over in California at
Episode
American
9.
DJ. Yeah, episode.
We made it 8 episodes and we
Not-
haven't been
So
kicked
9.
off yet.
How are
I
you
love
gonna
it.
Nine.
It's like
Yeah.
this.
We only had our first 2 curses tonight. That's all. And it came out of the female mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I curse?
It's all
I
good.
apologize. It just flies out sometimes.
Sometimes
I
we
was
get
about
it.
to drop a fuck yeah. Oops, I did.
I know
That's
I
it.
didn't say
We
that.
can't be on PBS now. Sorry, Facebook. I cursed. All right. Everybody joining us live on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, MySpace, AOL,
MS-DOS. MS-DOS. And next week, I'm going to work on getting some sort of a trigger for AIM. It's the old version of Instant Messenger. That's what I want. So that's
Oh my God.
next week.
Can we get on BBM somehow too? I don't know if that's going to work, but thank you, Shortee.
BlackBerry. I didn't even think of that. Thank you.
You're cracking me up. Virtual
Oh,
hugs, y'all.
God.
Virtual hugs.
Yes.
I love
100%.
you.
Bring it in.
I can't wait to
All right.
see you soon. Thank you so much. We'll talk
Thank you very
offline.
much.
And IDJNOW fam, thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it tonight. Thanks for sticking with us. This was a longer show, but what do? You do? You got great content. You let it go. You let it breathe. So,
Right.
Shortee, we love you. Thank you. Kevin, my
Thank you.
friend,
Love you too.
get a razor. You need a razor.
I don't need one. Get these stores open. Let's get things back to normal, and I'll shave again.
All right.
Otherwise,
I love
I'll
it.
look like ZZ Top.
There's good news coming. Good news is happening. We're getting there, everyone. So stay strong. We're with you. IDJNOW fam, we love you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you Tuesday with American DJ. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.